Woburn. I'm your host, Samantha Stone, and we have some great guests today. We're going to talk about a whole bunch of things happening across the city, some great fundraisers, some flag football, Go Girls teams. They've had some awesome stuff going on. We're talking about Ward 5 housing and some general things happening across the city. Before we dive into all of that, I just want to let you guys know some personal news. And the only reason I'm sharing this is because I'm going to look different over the coming weeks and months. I'm going to be starting chemotherapy next week, and I'm going to be on quite an extended regimen. It's going to be at least 6 months. So I don't want you to worry. The long-term prognosis is great. I have an amazing community of people who are around me. This show is not going to become about my cancer, but I am likely to lose my hair and I am likely to look tired, and I don't want folks to be surprised. My intention is to continue with the show during the whole treatment because I find it a good thing to look forward to. And I enjoy the process, and it's part of how I give back to the community. If, however, I am in a position where I don't feel that I can continue to do that, I've got a couple people I've asked to be guest hosts in my absence, so that we can make sure to continue and keep things going until I feel like I can come back. So with that, let's turn things over to the really important stuff. Welcome, Scott.
Hi, Samantha.
Thanks for joining me today. I know there's lots of stuff going on in the community. I saw an update, I think, from the firefighters. They have some T-shirts they're selling, so looks like people can go into the headquarters now. The building is like really being used. It's exciting.
Yeah, it's there. It's fully operational, and we got the combination of the North Woburn and the Central Square stations are there. So it's exciting, and right now we're working through the punch list, and a few items are a little quirky right now, but that's to be expected when you have a new building with a number of high-tech operational issues. So it's getting there, and we'll be having a grand opening soon. They're doing the plantings, the paving, final paving is being done. So it's there, and we've added, with the support of the city council, we've added new members of the fire department, which have allowed us to operate the ambulance 24/7, the second one. So that's good for the city, better response and safe response. So we're happy about that, and it's we're moving forward.
That's great news. I appreciate that update. I know we talked about that, what feels like forever ago. So it's great to see that happening and in place now. We had a big shredding event, so hopefully everybody got their spring cleaning out of the way. And I know my dad dropped off papers and said it was really organized and busy, which is good.
He was busy.
Yeah. Anything else happening in the next few weeks we should know about down at City Hall?
What do we have going on? Well, you had mentioned the fire department, which is great. They're in the community, the union. They're selling T-shirts to benefit the autism, and it's Autism Awareness Month. We've talked about, we've got the blue lights and flags, and we'll be doing a little ceremony tomorrow. There is Council of Social Concern is doing the annual auction for the John McElhenney auction this Friday. That's a nice event. Saturday, the high school is doing a Tana Fest from, I think, 12 to 3 with showing off the musical talents of our students. That's another nice event. Then we've got Conservation Day, Samantha, coming up first week of May, and that's going to be expanded a little bit. And I'd like to talk to you more about that next week. We'll have a couple people on, but we're opening up the old pump station, which has one of the oldest steam engines in the country. So that'll be a great compliment to Conservation Day. And we're also having a beer garden sponsored by Lord Hobo. So I think some beer enthusiasts will be excited about that. So we can talk more about it next week if you want to put that on the agenda.
How could I not talk about beer?
No.
I mean, come on. You get to play with machines and watch machines run and drink beer. This is like the best thing ever.
You got it.
My household's intrigued already, I'm sure. That's awesome. Lots of stuff going on, and which is always in the case in the city. Really, really good stuff. I know last time we spoke, we talked about school budgets. I know they're not done yet. I know it's a process that goes over time, but I didn't know if you had any updates for us in terms of getting closer to the percentage where.
No, we're nowhere near close to the percentage, but we are working. We've got open lines of communications, and I'll be keeping city council abreast on. I'm sure they're interested to know, and it's definitely the increase is disconcerting. So we're working on that. Like I said, working with Matt to try to get a better grip on it. On the city side, we've got our increase, and I've talked to you about it just in broad terms about, basically we generate a certain amount of money and we can spend a certain amount of money. It's like balancing your own home budget. You bring in a certain amount of money and you can spend a certain amount of money. So I know there are other factors driving the school budget. And we're trying to handle those in a fair way that helps our schools move forward.
Great. So coming up against May, which I know is sort of the official kickoff to election season, where people start to pull papers, their nomination papers, and do all of those things. Anything happening with your campaign you want to let folks know about? I know I interview all the candidates for election, and we talk every week, but not in the context of a campaign. So I wanted to give you an opportunity to share any updates on your side.
No, I don't have any updates. It's like, for mayors, across the state, it's right now it's a very busy time for all of us, as it is for city council, dealing with the budget and capital expenditures and again, closing out the fiscal year. So I have a lot of, duties that I'm working on. And, during those activities, I do come into contact with a lot of people, explaining to them. So that's not my campaigning, but I have a job to do, and that's what I'll do first. And then there'll be plenty of time for campaigning over the summer, which is an important time to get out and tell people, about what we've been doing, what I've accomplished with the help of department heads, city council, school committee. We've had a major number of accomplishments, and I'll be running on my record on what we've done, and that's what we'll be doing over the summer.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Scott. As always, greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, Samantha, and thank you for everything you do, and really, your coverage is amazing. So we all have the utmost respect for you, and I know you're going to come through with strong flying colors. You got a lot of people supporting you. I'm certainly one of them. So stay strong, and if you need anything, let me know.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much.
Okay.
Excellent.
Bye.
Darlene, welcome.
Oh, did I unmute myself, Samantha?
Yes, we can hear you. Fabulous. Always great to have you on, Darlene. Housing has been a theme of ours the last few weeks that we've been talking, in large part because rental costs are going up quite substantially for a lot of our residents. And, some of our residents are struggling with that. And even some of our landlords, because even though costs are going up, they're not necessarily making a lot more money or any more money, their costs are going up as well. So I want to talk a little bit about housing and Ward 5 in particular. There's a lot going on. So catch us up a little bit about what things have developed since last we spoke.
Okay. So when we last spoke, we talked about the Department of Housing and Community Development, some of these new regulations that have come forth from this board of unelected, unaccountable folks. And when we spoke about that, at that time, the new regulations, Samantha, were strong suggestions by that board. Strong suggestions of very dense, many units in communities like Woburn, where we have an MBTA station. But what did not come with those strong suggestions is any way to mitigate some of the things that you and the mayor were just talking about. So having all that many more people in our city will require more police, more fire, more teachers, more paras, more building department folks, more board of health folks, lots of infrastructure improvements, and that doesn't even count infrastructure in terms of traffic, right? Those are just to make our city run efficiently and safely, right? Now, so those strongly recommended suggestions, we were told that, well, if you choose not to play by these rules, you might not get any funding from particular grants. And last I heard a few weeks ago, that's no longer the case. Now we're being threatened with lawsuits if we do not comply. So here's the problem from my perspective. As I told you when we last met, From 2012 to 2022, Woburn brought 2,648, give or take, units online, right? And 1,292 or so were in Ward 5. Considerable amount also in Ward 6, but then also spread out across the city in a combination of ways, right? Rental property, townhomes for sale, and most of those things had affordable housing components that we put in, right? The rules and regulations from DHCD do not require us to necessarily have an affordable housing component. We can choose to do so if we're forced to do these extra units by the state's rules. But, and here's the big but, especially when it comes to the affordable piece, the affordability can't be more than 10% of what the average median income is in Woburn or the state. But right now in Woburn, do you have any idea what the average median income is in Woburn?
I actually don't have any idea, so I'm hoping you.
Okay, I do. And actually, it was from 2020. From 2020, it's just a little over $92,000. So when you take a look at that, right, that really doesn't take into account making a rental unit affordable. And you see it, right? $3,000 a month for a 2-bedroom apartment, in some cases for a 1-bedroom apartment. So I don't think the rules from DHCD are going to solve the problem of affordable housing. Clearly, they haven't laid it out to do that. So I'll put aside my concerns with them forcing this upon us. Without any mitigation. Woburn's going to have to address that at some point, because if we are forced to do what we've been asked to do, we're talking about thousands of additional units without any taxpayer relief to do all the things that we need to do to keep our community safe and educated and all of those other things. So I know a lot of people aren't talking about this, but this is one of the things that keeps me up at night, okay? It's very concerning, especially as we're going into our budget season. We're already struggling with some of those things without having these other issues and forced upon us. And I also want to point out that Woburn has led the field in housing. We didn't wait for someone to say, you guys need to do this. We're gonna, you guys have to do this. We did it on our own.
So Darlene, let me ask you a question. Is there an opportunity to get the board, the commission, whatever the right word is, I'm sorry, I don't remember, to waive some of the unit numbers, since these are very recent additions, not like this stuff has been built 5 years ago, but
started in 2012. Yeah. And some of them are still coming online as we speak.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So is there support that the city council and the city of Woburn needs from residents to help petition to limit the number of new units? I don't even know if limiting the number of units is the issue. We have this weird thing happening. So, you look at basic economic principles. Supply goes up, cost should go down, right? It in a normal supply and demand model.
Right.
Actually not what's happening, because while supply is going up, it's going up on more expensive housing than perhaps other options that have been available. And an influx of people outside the city are coming in. So demand is still rising, even though supply is rising. We've got this sort of unusually complex mix of things that are happening. So is there a way for A, to petition to require fewer units, and B, are there things we as a city could do to incent builders and land developers to do truly more affordable, more modest things, less fancy counters and amenities, but things that might help support a portion of our community that can't afford what's been coming in?
Okay, so that's I see that as a two-part question. So
That was like 18 parts all rolled into one,
number,
Darlene. I'm sorry.
no worries. Number one, and the city council has said this from the very beginning, as has Mayor Galvin's office and the planning board. Woburn really feels as if we should get credit for the things that we've already done and sort of led the way from other communities, and that's still up in the air. That remains to be seen. In terms of, you know, people flocking to the suburbs, I'm not an economic expert by any means. I don't claim to be. But I can also see what's happening in Boston. What's happening in Boston is that they're building a lot of housing, a lot of very, very bougie, expensive housing with all those great amenities. And I can tell you, those amenities aren't in some of the places that have been built in Woburn. They're nice, but they're not what's going on in Boston. Millions of dollars some of those places cost. And the rents are crazy. So the people who would like to stay in Boston can't stay in Boston. They have no place else to go. So that's part of the problem. They want to work in Boston, but they can't afford to stay in Boston. So we're being asked to solve part of a problem that I think that's been created by developers in Boston. In terms of incentivizing developers here in our own city, we actually have done that through zoning ordinances that we've written ourselves. The problem is when you take what's being thrust upon us by DHCD, basically they skirt all of our zoning and we have no say at all. We can't say no. We can't put any rules in place. We can't, our hands are tied. It's very, very scary to me because we have a big responsibility to 40,000 people in the city right now. What happens if we can't afford to do it? And when I say can't afford, I don't mean we don't have money. Woburn we have a good base, a good savings account for our rainy days. And that's a very positive thing. I guess what I'm saying is what happens if we are forced to do this housing without the mitigation that's required for our extra personnel? Ultimately, what's going to happen is the taxes are going to go up. There's just no way around that. Similarly, when you talk about the challenges that we face right now with our budget, right, to get more personnel for different departments, if the money's not there, and I'm not talking about in a savings account, I'm just saying if the money's not there, if we're not generating it, it has to come from somewhere. And I don't want to see the burden be thrust upon, I won't support that, thrusting it upon our residents who are already struggling. And they're struggling to pay their medicine, for their medicine. You have a big family. I'm sure your grocery bill is astronomical.
We eat a lot in my house.
Yeah, well, you don't even have to eat a lot for it to be astronomical. And that doesn't even take us into the problem, I think, with senior housing. Because I think in Woburn, we need more affordable senior housing, not, fancy, expensive, skilled facilities, right? Those have a place. But we need more housing, similar to, Warren Ave and over on, by the high school and Library Park. We need more of that. I would like to see the city invest in some commercial property that we could turn in to senior housing for our seniors and our veterans and truly make it affordable. It would certainly not be run by the city, it would be run by the Housing Commission. But I would love to see us make an investment in that kind of thing in some properties that are currently available in the city that might make sense.
That's a worthy thing for us to explore, right? We do have some open properties that are zoned for building, and so we could figure out how to leverage it. I love that kind of thinking. I do want to just ask a question or make a comment and make sure I'm right at thinking of this. So one of the things I know that just when there is we talk about a deficit of budget cost to come in to service more people, right? We've got more people in the community. We need to service more people. We have to do, more fire, more police, more road infrastructure, all of those things. There's money coming in from new properties that are built because there's more, property tax that's done. However, I'm imagining big multi-unit rental income, right? Rental properties, they do pay property tax, but are we saying is the per unit costs are not compensating for the additional costs that we as a city incur?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
I don't believe so. And I've been working with Tina Cassidy and the planning board department and Inspector Quinn, also the mayor's office, trying to really get down to those numbers. It's hard to, because the DHC regulations are so broad. But I can't imagine. I mean, look at what we've had built, right, just since 2012, right? The impacts, some of those impacts, we're just starting to feel a little bit now, right? Because we just hit 40,000 people. So that's why I'm so concerned. Yes, we're going to collect taxes on those buildings. I just don't think it's going to be enough to not have to put the burden on the taxpayers of Woburn, and they don't deserve that burden, because then it's sort of is reverse of what we're trying to do, right? We're trying to make things better for people, but I can't say it enough. The DHCD, there's really no component that says we have to do affordable housing. So for them, it's not really about that. It's just about build a lot of units. So maybe we'll find some happy medium down the road, but this is one of the things that concerns me most as a leader in Ward 5 in this city.
Well, I appreciate you raising our awareness around these issues. I think they're complex, really important, and not fast to get addressed. These are things that happen over an extended period of time. So I guess the last thing, just before I let you go, Darlene, is just advice for residents who are concerned about this, who want to see us maybe build some of those, use some of our space to do some senior housing, for example, or other mitigation strategies to make sure that we are allowing residents who can't afford this big swings up to be able to find options. What advice do you want us? What can we do to help rally and support the efforts of the city council in supporting our community?
Number one, if they're struggling and they're struggling with the rents that are currently happening, they should send emails to or call. Ask anyone who knows me. I answer my phone, so call, and we can have a conversation about letter writing campaigns and who the best people are to reach out at the State House and the folks at DHCD. And I think there are some things going on in the background regarding how legal it really is for these regulations / laws, which is in question. So those kinds of things, absolutely talk to your local representatives, talk to your state representatives. And during those conversations, when we're sharing ideas, it's amazing how you can also share different ways to snowball to make things move faster. So absolutely, that's my first recommendation.
Awesome. Thank you, Darlene, as always, for joining us.
Do I have 2 minutes?
Just 2 minutes. Yes, absolutely. Okay. I will always give you 2 minutes, Darlene.
I just wanted to give 2 quick updates about some other things in Ward 5. So the Woburn Mall, I know that there's been a lot of concerns about the traffic patterns and the parking. We are in active conversations now that the mall is in full build out about pedestrian access and different ways to try and find some more parking. So stay tuned on that. And also I wanted to let everyone know that the traffic lights over at Salem and Washington and Cedar and Washington, we have not forgotten. The parts were ordered in February. City engineer Corey took care of that for us, and everything's been coordinated with Mass Highway. I know those backups on Salem Street are tough, but we're getting to them. So patience, just a little patience. I know people have been so patient as it is, but I just wanted to make sure I mentioned both of those things.
I'm very glad you did, because those are two
Okay.
really important things that I know people care a lot about. So thank
And
you.
I'd also like to echo Mayor Galvin's words. You are a wonderful, courageous woman, and you know where to find me, and I'll be checking in on you.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that
All
tremendously.
right.
I
Thank
feel
you for
very
your
grateful.
time today.
Thanks, Darlene.
Take care.
Right. Greta, welcome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm so glad you're with us. We're going to talk about a community of people who are often displaced from their homes for different reasons than rent. But the work that Respond does is incredibly important. For those folks who might not have watched the show when you were on before, give us a quick update on the Respond organization.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the invitation. So yes, Respond is the oldest domestic violence agency in New England. And the second oldest in the United States, which is a tricky thing to claim, right? It means that we're still doing this work nearly 50 years later. But we are based in Somerville. So our hub office is, I'm sitting today here in Somerville, but we cover a lot of ground, including Woburn. So we have, in Woburn specifically, we have an advocate stationed, embedded right there at the police department. So they follow up on every domestic violence call made in Woburn. They're also in Wakefield, Reading, Wilmington, Melrose, and Malden. And so they're following up on every police call, offering just support. They're saying, you know, I'm here. I can offer you some help navigating the criminal justice system, and I can also offer you some support that is outside of that system if that's the route you choose to take. So that's one of our biggest kind of programs running in Woburn. We're also in partnership, longtime partnership with the Shannon Lee Mira Foundation. And so we bring healthy relationships programming into Woburn Memorial High School. We've reached about 400 freshmen and 200 sophomores this year through our programming in the wellness classes, talking about boundaries and healthy relationships, and of course, dating violence as well, and kind of red flags, green flags, how to keep yourself safe as you're exploring this new world, right? As you're on that precipice of being a grown-up and just kind of testing those things out. So those are the big things we're up to in Woburn. We also have an emergency shelter. I was so intrigued to hear kind of what's going on in the housing world in Woburn. Most of the folks that we work with are at that intersection of survivorship and housing insecurity or homelessness. We've actually we're kind of in the middle of expanding our housing program, really tripling the program. So we provide rental assistance. We're about to launch a brand new program for young parents and pregnant survivors. So especially in Woburn, Reading area. So we're really excited to be doing that because people are rent burdened. And when you're fleeing violence, that can be the decision, right? Is to say, I'm staying in this violent situation because otherwise I'll be homeless. And that's an impossible calculus for families.
I'm so great. I'm sad that you need to grow the program, but I'm grateful that we are, because I think you're absolutely right. It absolutely is a factor in folks. Now, there is a way that we can all help a little bit, which is the fun part of our conversation. You have a spring soiree, which sounds very fancy.
Right.
Greta, tell us a little bit about what's happening. I think it's in early May. I can't remember the date offhand. Remind us.
Yeah, we're so excited. You know, after the obvious pause for COVID, we're back in person for our major fundraising event. It's going to be May 4th, which is very soon from now, as it turns out. We're having this cocktail soiree, as you say, very fancy. It's going to be at the Hotel Marlowe in Cambridge, right at Cambridge side on the river there. And it's from 6 to 9. Tickets are still available. It's kind of everyone's welcome. Tickets are $125. And all funds raised go towards all of our programming. We are going to have an auction, a live auction. Storm Center 5 meteorologist and producer AJ Burnett is our auctioneer for the night and MC. He always keeps it really fun and engaging. We have an amazing honoree, Shakira Robinson. She's a survivor, a mom, an academic, an advocate. We just had lunch with her and she's like, I don't think she snoozes. I don't think she sleeps. She's like always on the go. She is just an amazing resource and amazing advocate in this area. We can't wait to honor her. So it's gonna be a really fun night. It's gonna be really fun. And there's a way to get involved if folks can't come. We're opening our silent auction on Friday, and you don't have to be in the room to get your bids in. And there's staycations and little trips and other fun, wine, beer, lots of food and self-care stuff. So it's gonna be a really fun event.
That sounds fantastic, and for a really, really valuable cause. Where should folks go to either get tickets or participate in the silent auction, or maybe even just make a donation if this has inspired them to do that?
Yeah, so you can write on our website, so respondinc.org, and there's spring soiree up in the corner, or you can do /gala, so respondinc.org/gala, and there's the link to buy tickets. And also to participate in the auction. So that catalog will go live very soon.
Fantastic, Greta. Thank you so much for joining me and for the important work that your organization does. It really helps a lot of people who are in a tough spot, and it helps keep them safe, but also keeps them in a position to move forward. And so we're grateful for that.
Well, I'm grateful for you. You're always such a champion for Respond and for survivors. So thank you so much for having us on.
Yeah, thank you. Up next, we're going to talk some football. Come on, Tina.
Hello.
I'm so glad you're with us, Tina. I know that you're one busy lady because there's always a flag football game happening.
It seems like that. It does seem like that.
I was really excited because flag football is an awesome sport for lots of people. But we had a really exciting opportunity for the girls teams to be one of the first girls teams to work with the Patriots. Tell us about that.
Yeah, how exciting. So for months, we've been reaching out to the Patriots as well as other flag leagues in New England, and they finally responded. And they are so excited for us and all the schools. There was 8 schools that they wanted us to get on board. And because we've done flag for so long, they reached out. And so that's how Woburn became the first school, with a lot of help from Jim Duran and Adam Lapon, the gym teacher up at the high school. Oh my God, I can't thank them enough, because they helped me with a lot of the girls up there, getting them interested and then getting them registered. And so, yeah, it was so much fun. The girls were just up at the New England Patriots this past week. They got their uniforms. They were interviewed and taped, and it's all over the place. And so how exciting.
That is super exciting. Now, there's a lot of games that are planned. Tell us where folks can find the schedule if they want to come cheer on our hometown team.
Yeah, so the schedule just came out today. And so that schedule will be given to Jim Duran. He will probably have it posted up at, the Woburn High School pages, as well as probably Instagram. I have it. I'll put it up on, I had it on the Woburn residence page, and I'll put it on my personal page. But that's pretty much, like, a lot of the kids will get their schedules through their emails, and then of course the parents can share where the games will be, etc. We tried having the games here in Woburn. Unfortunately, the fields weren't available for Thursdays. So we will not have a home game this year. Hopefully next year. We got to plan a little bit better. But it was it was such a fast-paced thing, and so we really just didn't have a whole lot of time to plan it. So I can't put blame on anyone. A lot of the schools were struggling to find space for the program. And so next year we'll have the Woburn game.
Well, we'll be waiting for that and counting on that. I love it. If someone wants to learn more about playing flag football, whether they, are interested in the girls team or any of the other teams that are available, because I know there's a whole bunch of folks who do participate, tell us where they can get more information.
Okay, so they could definitely reach out to CK Flag Football. That I could give them the answers to anything they need for flag football, be in youth or the girls program. Right now, because it's such a pilot program, nothing's really put in place up at the high school right now, but there will be. So in the future, like by next year, there should be links up on the high school pages, and Jim Duran can be reached. You can reach him, and the coaches that'll be up there, Ben Piscina is one of the coaches. We had Vlad Lafont. He's another coach. They work with kids. They've been working with them for years. But we're gonna pull in a couple of Woburn coaches that are from the school as well. So like next year, you'll see a lot of different information coming out. And so right now, if they're like interested, like now, I would reach out to ckflagfootball.com. And then it'll follow up. It will start being just Woburn High School. It will start doing that by next year, and CK will be out of it because I'm just the youth program. So I don't want us to have anything to do with it. I want it to be a Woburn High School sport. And so that's my goal.
Well, that's super exciting to have a new sport in general, but really exciting for the girls. And I'm glad that you had an opportunity to do this. Thank you for joining us to share a little bit of information about it. And Woburn, as always, please continue to take good care of each other.